The journey of self-learning. How Tom became confident in English. Tom was an ordinary guy who had never spoken a word of English in his life. Growing up in a small town, English felt like something distant and irrelevant. But everything changed one day when he watched a movie with subtitles. It was an action movie full of drama, but what caught his attention wasn't the explosions. It was the dialogue. The characters spoke with confidence and emotion, and Tom thought, I wish I could speak like that. From that moment, Tom decided to learn English. The problem? He had no idea where to start. He didn't have a teacher, a class, or even a friend who spoke the language. All he had was determination. Tom's first step was simple: listen. He picked topics he loved: movies, sports, and cooking. At first, he didn't understand much. Words flew past him like cars on a highway. But Tom didn't give up. He found videos and podcasts about his favorite topics and listened to them again and again. At first, it felt like noise, but over time, his ears started to catch familiar words. One day, he heard the phrase "that's amazing" in a cooking video. He didn't know exactly what it meant, but the tone and excitement of the chef made it clear that it was something positive. Curious, Tom looked up the phrase and started using it whenever he was impressed by something. It became one of his first English expressions. Tom's method was unique. Instead of trying to learn everything at once, he focused on one topic at a time. For example, when he wanted to master cooking vocabulary, he found videos about recipes, techniques, and food reviews. He watched the same videos over and over until he could understand most of the words. He repeated phrases out loud, mimicking the speakers. Eventually, he found himself able to talk about cooking in English. When he felt comfortable, he moved on to a new topic, like travel. This way, he built his vocabulary naturally, without feeling overwhelmed. Listening wasn't Tom's only tool. He also read articles and books about the same topics he listened to. At first, he struggled with the texts, often stopping to look up words. But as he kept reading, he noticed something amazing. The words he heard in the videos started to appear in the texts. This made it easier for him to understand and remember new vocabulary. Tom's favorite way to practice was by reading stories and imagining himself in them. When he read about a chef creating a new dish or a traveler exploring a distant country, he pictured himself in those roles. This made learning fun and engaging. One of the hardest parts of learning English for Tom was speaking. He had no one to practice with, so he created his own system. He started talking to himself about the topics he learned. For example, after watching a video about Italian cuisine, he would explain the recipe out loud, pretending he was teaching someone else. Over time, Tom became more confident. He recorded himself speaking and listened to his pronunciation. At first, he cringed at how he sounded, but he kept practicing. Gradually, his words became clearer, and he felt less shy. Tom's approach worked because he celebrated small victories. When he could understand an entire cooking video without subtitles, he cheered for himself. When he managed to read an article without stopping to check the dictionary, he smiled with pride. These small wins motivated him to keep going. After months of hard work, Tom reached a point where he could talk about his favorite topics comfortably. He even started sharing his thoughts in online forums and joining group discussions. He realized that learning English wasn't just about memorizing words. It was about using the language to express himself. One day, Tom's friend invited him to a local event where travelers shared their experiences. The event was in English. At first, Tom was nervous. but he decided to go. As he listened to the speakers, he realized he could understand most of what they were saying. When it was time for questions, Tom raised his hand and asked about their favorite destinations. The moment he spoke, everyone turned to listen. Tom's voice shook at first, but as he finished his question, the crowd smiled and nodded. The speaker answered enthusiastically, and for the first time, Tom felt like he belonged. Tom didn't stop there. He continued learning new topics, from technology to history. Each time he mastered one, he moved to the next, building his confidence and skills. His journey wasn't perfect, but it was consistent. Today, Tom speaks English fluently. He can hold conversations, give presentations, and even joke around in English. Looking back, he often tells people, "I didn't learn English overnight. I just kept listening, reading, and practicing things I loved until it all clicked." Tom's story is proof that with patience and a focus on what you enjoy, anyone can learn a language. All it takes is the courage to start and the persistence to keep going. Questions and answers. 1. Who is the main character of the story? The main character is Tom. 2. Why did Tom think English was distant and irrelevant? He grew up in a small town where English wasn't commonly used. 3. What inspired Tom to learn English? He watched an action movie with subtitles and was impressed by how the characters spoke. 4. What was Tom's biggest challenge when he decided to learn English? He had no teacher, class, or friend to help him. 5. What was the first step Tom took in his learning journey? He started listening to topics he loved, such as movies, sports, and cooking. 6. Why did Tom listen to the same videos multiple times? To become familiar with the words and improve his understanding. 7. What phrase did Tom first learn from a cooking video? That's amazing. 8. How did Tom use the phrase he learned? He used it whenever he was impressed by something. 9. What was Tom's method of learning vocabulary? He focused on one topic at a time, watching related videos repeatedly. 10. How did Tom practice pronunciation? He mimicked speakers from videos and repeated phrases out loud. 11. How did Tom reinforce his learning besides listening? He read articles and books about the same topics he listened to. 12. Why was reading useful for Tom's learning? It helped him recognize and remember the words he heard in videos. 13. How did Tom make reading fun? He imagined himself as the main character in the stories he read. 14. Why was speaking English difficult for Tom? He had no one to practice with. 15. What strategy did Tom use to practice speaking? He talked to himself about the topics he learned. 16. How did Tom gain confidence in his speaking skills? He recorded himself, listened to his pronunciation, and kept practicing. 17. Why did Tom celebrate small wins? It kept him motivated to continue learning. 18. What small victories did Tom celebrate? Understanding a full video without subtitles and reading an article without using a dictionary. 19. How did Tom test his English in real life? He attended a local event where travelers shared their experiences. 20. How did Tom feel before speaking at the event? He was nervous but decided to participate anyway. 21. What happened when Tom asked a question at the event? The audience listened, and the speaker answered enthusiastically. 22. How did Tom feel after speaking in front of an audience? He felt like he belonged. 23. What did Tom do after gaining confidence in speaking? He continued learning new topics, such as technology and history. 24. What is Tom's current level of English? He is fluent and can hold conversations, give presentations, and joke in English. 25. What is Tom's advice for other language learners? Keep listening, reading, and practicing things you love until it all clicks. 26. What lesson can be learned from Tom's story? Patience, consistency, and focusing on enjoyable topics make learning a language easier. 27. What does Tom say about learning English overnight? He emphasizes that it takes time and practice, not instant results. 28. What final message does Tom's story convey? Anyone can learn a language with persistence and passion. So, if you are on your own English learning journey, remember Tom's story. You don't need expensive courses or perfect grammar to start. All you need is curiosity and the willingness to keep going. Choose topics you love, listen, read, and practice speaking out loud. Celebrate small wins, and before you know it, you will be speaking English with confidence, just like Tom. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more motivational language learning stories. Keep learning, keep growing, and see you in the next video.